I'll never forget the look on my mom's face when she turned around and looked at me. She was like, it's you. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't know what she's talking about, but I'm trying to keep it together. She's like, you're an addict. You're a full-blown drug addict and you've been using drugs and you're gonna die. She's screaming this at the parking lot of my dorm. And I didn't know what to do, so I just wanted her to shut up because I didn't want people to hear her. So I was just like, oh, okay. So I got in the car, we went to a hotel that night, and she was like, I don't know whether I should take you home with me. I don't know if I should pull you out of school. We don't know how to help you because we didn't know this was going on. And so I kind of confessed everything to her. I was opening up to her in bits and pieces. We cried a lot. It was a really, really horrible night. But my addict brain was thinking, when she falls asleep, I'm going to steal from her. I'm going to go. I'm just going to leave. There wasn't any huge factor that led to me first using drugs. So at first it started off as an adrenaline rush. It was okay, I'm in the car with this big drug dealer, he's selling, what are these people blowing his phone up for? So that's when I first started experimenting with Percocet 30s. I really had no idea what they were at the time. I'd been prescribed those medications for wisdom teeth surgery, and I just saw this drive that people were blowing him up for. And I'm like, what it could be so great about these tiny little pills? I kind of got wrapped up in this external street life and going to school and carrying on everything was fine, when internally I'm chasing this rush of a life that I know nothing about. So it took me to dangerous places. I was introduced into the world of prostitution. I realized that funds weren't easily accessible once my parents kind of caught on that something wasn't right. They weren't just gonna hand me money. They didn't know what was going on, but I either needed to be working, and if working wasn't enough, I needed to do what I had to do. After high school, I was partying throughout the summer, nothing really crazy, but I was still engaging in these addict behaviors. I was living that street life and going home to my family and acting like everything was fine. So I moved to Widener University, which was about 45 minutes away, and I remember going to school with Suboxone, taking it myself, trying to, withdraw or wean myself off of the 30s. I'm going to classes, I'm far away from everything I know. But within 2 weeks, I am meeting people at these parties. And very quickly, I met the right people who sold drugs. And it became a new, exciting thing for me to find new drug dealers. So now I was using in my dorm room. I'm still making it to class because school was my driving force. I wanted to do this. I wanted to be in school. It was cool feeling like I had a purpose and not under the thumb of an abuser or under the wraps of addiction. But no matter where I took me, I brought my addiction with me. My first semester, freshman year, my mom, I guess, got a call from somebody. I still don't really know to this day who, and is crying. And she's like, you need to come outside in my car. And she's frantic. She was like, it's you. She's like, you're an addict. Eventually, between her and my dad communicating, they let me stay in school. I think at this time they really didn't know the severity of my addiction. That winter was my first time ever going to detox. I truly believe that if I feel like being done, I'll be done. But I liked the chase. I liked this other life. The life that I grew up with was so calm and so normal that this chaos brought out some fire in me that I loved. Went back to school, and not long after, I'm using again. And it was just this vicious cycle of getting sent to treatment to make them happy. They think she'll get cured, she'll come home, everything will be fine. It just didn't work like that. I tried to maintain a normal life, drinking on the weekends, going to school, getting high. It was just debilitating. I would leave class sometimes and I would walk over to these dark areas in this neighborhood outside of my campus and sell my body. And cop, get high, go back to my dorm or whatever apartment I was living at that time and study. I mean, it was a total double life, but it's what I was used to. I was living a double life at home. 2016, I spent 9.5 months in treatment centers, different ones. I was constantly getting kicked out. I was either finding a new love, whether it was male, female, I didn't care. If you gave me attention, I took it. Anything but sitting with Nicole. If it meant fighting, causing scenes, starting relationships, whatever I could do to distract myself from whatever I was feeling inside, I would do. In college, I ended up getting through it. I graduated with honors somehow. I moved in with my boyfriend at the time, who doesn't use drugs, and thought I could live a normal life now. But we had moved into Philly, and I was actually closer to drugs than I realized, and I quickly started using again, and he kept catching me, and he wanted to kick me out, but I had nowhere to go, so it was like this back and forth battle of do something or you gotta go. And eventually I had to leave. So I remember driving around in Philly thinking, I don't think I can do this anymore. But not really knowing what to do, because I've been in treatment, I knew therapy, I knew how to talk about things, but nothing was healing me. Because I also wasn't letting go of certain traumas that I had been through. When I was active in the streets in New Jersey, when I would cop, I was putting myself in danger every single time. But that wasn't enough. Physical bottoms were never enough for me. Like, you could beat me up, you could rape me, which happened multiple times, backseat of my own car, at the hands of people I knew. And that wasn't enough to get me to stop, because I just kept using. The more I felt, the more I used, so I didn't feel. If I felt a little, I used a lot. And it was just a cycle of not addressing what I was going through. When I was in treatment in South Florida, I felt like I could be myself. I didn't feel like I had the pressure of my family or knowing people in the treatment center that were going to hear my story and judge me or judge my family. I was meeting people that understood me, that I never experienced that before. I could look at people and they felt my pain. And I met this woman after being kicked out of somewhere because of a relationship. But I met this woman and she could see right through me. She heard my lies, she knew what pain I was feeling, and she knew I was withholding something. And I remember the first time relapsing in her halfway house, and this woman gets on her knees in front of me, and it's like begging me not to leave and not to go get high. I'm like, what are you doing? And I remember thinking, this is so strange that this woman I've known for a couple weeks loves me. And she was telling me she loved me. I wasn't just interpreting that, she was telling me. And I didn't know how to accept that at the time. So I didn't really listen to her right away. I continued to run. I remember my first instance of witnessing an overdose in front of me with somebody that I really didn't know. And it was petrifying. And I was technically missing at this time because I had walked away from the halfway house. And my parents had my location, or my sister, somebody, and they reached out to her and they're like, find her, please. And so by the time they had pulled up, this kid had overdosed. I had called 911. The ambulance, was coming down the corner. So my parents are thinking that they're about to find me dead. And I've been in Florida for maybe 3 months. They're petrified. They're thousands of miles away and they think their daughter could be in this home with some boy overdosed. And there's nothing they can do. After the experience my parents went through with thinking I was dead, they flew down here. And I remember I'm in detox and a staff member comes up to me and goes, your parents are at the gate, you need to come with us. So I kind of just stood there shaking. I'm in scrubs, I'm in detox, and it's a box and taper, and I'm like, okay. Start reading me these letters, and they're heartbreaking. And, the result was, if you don't leave with us and go to this treatment center in California, wherever it was, we're all done. We're cutting off communication, financial. We will no longer be in your life if you choose to stay here in South Florida. And I said no. I remember turning my back to them and my mom yelled out, I love you. And I didn't say it back. I continued to trust my faith in South Florida, trust my faith in this community that I was getting introduced to. I didn't know everyone, but I knew some people and I knew love. They were showing me a different kind of love that I didn't experience before. I had gotten high again. My mom gets another call, Nicole's using, and she got on the phone with me, and I know she hates me reminding her that she said this to me, but she had buried me so many times in her head already that these calls were so draining to her that the only words that could come out of her mouth when she knew I had relapsed was, just die already. And for her to say that, I knew I had broken her. She was ready to just be done with these calls. So I accepted help that night, and this time I said it out loud. I said, I, Nicole Newby, need help. Save me, put me somewhere, because if I get to the bag and my money is sitting in that purse and I go get high right now, I hope to God I don't make it back. I trusted in these women that I was meeting down here, and I started believing that there was a God that wanted me here, because if he didn't, I wouldn't have survived all that I did. And I knew I had a place, I just didn't know where. I just wanted to fight for whatever it was. And, you know, I started working jobs and making friends and building a life. If it wasn't for these people that loved and cared about me, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for believing that God had a path for me, I wouldn't have fought for it. And the life I have today is just peaceful. That life was so exhausting, and to be freed of that is a gift I could never let go of. And it's a gift that I want to help others receive. And if I can, then my purpose here is fulfilled daily. And, you know, it's all I can really ask for. That's why I keep doing what I'm doing.